Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Shorten Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas.
From Mansers on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're Out to Lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Riegel. It's business Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. How many kids have gazed up into the sky and pondered what it's like to be an astronaut or space traveler? How many adults, for that matter? There's something about outer space, which we get a glimpse of through the night sky, that excites the 10-year-old kid watching Star Wars in all of us. Some people have turned that passion into a profession. With me today to discuss this is Bob Fudickar, Executive Director of the National Center for Advanced Manufacturing, which, among other things, is building the rocket NASA is sending to Mars. The center is located at the NASA Michoud Assembly Facility in New Orleans and is home to a partnership between NASA, the state of Louisiana, LSU, and UNO. It was originally formed in 1999 and is a state-of-the-art research and production center focused on applying advanced manufacturing technologies to lightweight composite and metallic materials in support of the NASA space program. Bob is currently serving as the interim executive director of NCAM. He has spent his career in business and technology in South Louisiana, including stints at Arthur Andersen, General Electric, and NASA. Bob, it is a pleasure to have you here on Out to Lunch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for the invitation.
Really
This is a thrill.
Cool stories you have to share. With me and Bob is Serena Pandas, Executive Director of the Louisiana Art and Science Museum, which, among other things, gets a lot of kids thinking about going to Mars and elsewhere in space. That's because the LASM is home to the Irene Pennington Planetarium, a 60-foot domed theater that is one of the most sophisticated multimedia presentation venues in the country. And if you've had kids in Baton Rouge, you know just how wonderful it is. But the LASM is about more than just the planetarium. It has a permanent collection of American and European art, Louisiana modern and contemporary art, photography, and exhibitions on ancient Egypt, the solar system, and the universe. Serena has been president and executive director since early 2019, just about a year before COVID upended her world, like everyone else's. Serena, I know you have lots of great stories to share, too. Thanks so much for joining us on Out to Lunch.
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. It's lovely to be here.
And for those who don't have the pleasure of seeing us all, Serena wore her NASA astronaut suit, and Bob has his NASA logo suit shirt on. So we have a really great NASA theme going here. So Bob, I'm going to come back and start with you. I mean, you're literally building the rocket that NASA is going to send to Mars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty exciting, fun task to see this thing being built over the years, and it's literally all put together right now. So it's ready to go. They're doing final testing. It'll take a few more months, but it's ready to go.
So how does this NCAM is the acronym for your organization. So what role does NCAM play in this?
So it's pretty fascinating. Like you said, starting in about year 2000, the state invested in one big piece of equipment down there, which is highly specialized advanced manufacturing in the welding world, which welding for NASA is a big thing. Mm-hmm. And it proved successful. And then post-Katrina, that facility, at Katrina, that facility survived, and nothing else did. So that was quite a measurement to what could be done in the future. So all the manned space hardware programs are done at Michoud and have been and will be. And so we added to that equipment to the tune of about $60 million after Katrina, and it's what it takes to build the rocket to go to the moon and Mars.
And so, I mean, I assume y'all aren't doing the entire rocket there, part of it, or they do components here and there, or can you not talk about it, or what?
Tip to bottom, we can talk about it all, and it's exciting. We're super proud of it. It's all over the internet. It's, you can go to the NASA.com or NASA.com/SLS, or it's nicknamed Artemis, which is it's a big, fabulous program, and it's working.
This is mind-boggling. And Serena, you should have an exhibit on this in the LASM, which has some really cool space exhibits.
Exactly. I'm still in awe for the opportunity to meet Bob and realize how much we have in common. We were, just before the show, we were speaking about how much both of our organizations contribute to workforce development.
Right.
And introducing the, especially the children who are, middle to high, and looking at what inspires them, what gives them that aha moment that, gosh, this is something I really want to pursue. This is something I really want to try. And I think it would just be so interesting if we could develop a tool or some type of measurement to learn the story of these people coming in, from 10 on to, what got you interested in space? Well, it was my first night at the planetarium or looking at the planet tower, and I knew I wanted to dedicate my life to discovering new things and being a part of that mission, So I really wonder about that, how we can get together and promote workforce development. And of course, my favorite themes are time and space.
Right.
You
So how is the LASM doing? I mean, it is such a wonderful, it's not even a hidden jewel, it's a well-known jewel, but such a great asset to the Baton Rouge community. And I mean, I was serious. If you've ever had kids, I mean, we lived there when my kids were young. And we went all the time because they love the planetarium, they love to see the mummy, they'd go play in the hands-on exhibit. What's going on there now?
Stephanie, I'm just so, we are just so overwhelmed by the generosity of people like you and the community at large who have helped keep the institution alive through these
Difficult times, huh?
Unparalleled in our history,
Yeah.
difficult times. And, as a nonprofit already operating on very, thin budget margins, and having lost so much visitation, everything was down about 72%.
Wow.
So we've taken this opportunity to try to control the things we can. Downsizing was something that we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
The school groups are finally coming back, which
Thank
is
goodness.
wonderful. Yes. And we predict it's still going to take probably into 2023 for us to fully recalibrate and serve like once we have. But we're also taking this opportunity to, I guess, recalibrate and serving in different ways
Sure.
than we already have.
Well, I want to follow up on that in a minute. Bob, do y'all have school groups that come in and tour at NASA?
Well, I was talking to Serena previously. We do not currently. COVID's an issue, but
Sure.
also we are in a high security area, so
Yeah.
it's we don't do. You can't buy a ticket and take a tour.
Okay.
We have had tours in the past, and we'll have them in the future once some of the settles down. But we don't do regular school tours. We've had a class or two come through, but Serena makes a great point. If you don't get these kids interested early,
Right.
they won't be ready. So you ask any astronaut today, and they'll tell you they've been enamored with space since grade school and high school. So we're real big on STEM. We believe in it. We know that's what it takes to get productivity. The state does a series of things with NASA to concentrate on that.
Now, y'all have your webpage, I found your webpage through LSU. And we mentioned LSU and UNO. Are there researchers and scientists at our universities that are directly working with y'all at the NASA facility on the rocket?
There is.
Okay.
Both LSU and UNO both do classes out there on some training equipment that we provide, that the state provides, and it's in our NCAM portfolio. And now, granted, in the last 2 semesters have been, or 3 semesters have been brutal because of COVID.
Yeah.
But we meet regularly, and they will start it back up in the spring semester. But there's a lot of research, and our equipment is prioritized for NASA, but it's not always in use. So when it's not in use, outside entities can use it, and they do prototype and they do experiment. And so the the purpose of that equipment is to further the NASA's priorities, but also to further priorities in that particular advanced manufacturing space.
And so the rocket that you're working on right now, the Artemis.
Yes.
And it's almost finished? Is it going to go to Mars
The
soon?
first one is finished. We'll be building them over and over and over again, but the
Wow.
first one is finished.
Totally cool. And how long does it take to get to Mars?
So it's about a 7-month one-way trip.
Wow.
So there's going to be huge amounts of training involved to prepare these astronauts to do it. And those are heroes, the astronauts are.
But I mean, we're really talking about people being able to go there.
Oh, sure.
Soon.
Absolutely. So I think
One day soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, your definition of soon versus others, but they have this schedule all laid out to 2050, the year 2050. But in 2032, 2034, and those schedules push and evolve. Manned space or humans will be on our rocket to go to Mars. Sure.
Fantastic. Sharina, what got you interested in the LASM as a
Well,
person?
The LASM has always been a big sister to where I came from in the Rio Grande Valley at the International Museum of Art and Science, where I was director for 10 years.
Okay.
And so we would always come up to Louisiana for the art exhibitions of our favorite artists, and of course to visit the planetarium.
And is it? I mean, the mission, I guess, of a science museum is very different than that of an art museum, right? So how do you balance those two? I mean, two very different skill sets and areas of expertise, and
It's a really good question, Stephanie, and it's so funny because I was just speaking with our board chair, Alexandra Layfield, who is with Jones Walker, who sponsors the program, and so I wanted to thank them, but also, as synchronicity has it, today is a synchronicity. We were just speaking about art without science is like having a brain without a left or a right side. Or like trying to have, a right hand without the left hand.
Okay,
It's
there. I think that
so
works.
connected.
Yeah.
It's so connected, and it's just that leap, that bridge that we need to keep telling the story about. Okay, so for instance, Bob here is talking about how this space rocket is being built.
Right.
To go to Mars and take people. Well, there's designers, there's engineers, there's people in technology, there's people doing math. It all informs and shapes each other, our lives, and the world, and that's what we're drilling home.
Yeah, that's great. How many kids are coming through the museum these days?
Well, we've gone from about 174,000 a year to about 72% less.
72% less.
We're looking forward to the spring in 2022.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking to Serena Pandos of the LASM and Bob Fudickar of the National Center for Advanced Manufacturing. Bob, I suppose most of your funding comes through the NASA budget from the federal government?
So, of course, the NASA program budget comes through the federal government.
Sure.
The equipment that we run through our partnership was funded by the state of Louisiana, and we charge rent on those machines to cover costs and spares and repairs.
The great machines you were telling us about at the beginning.
Advanced manufacturing equipment. And so they cast off revenue, and so it's a self-funded program, so it doesn't need any additional, to operate, it doesn't need any additional funding or revenue. Although we do search and go after grants and public funds or funds available to enhance the portfolio to try to keep up with the latest and greatest, or we like to think create the latest and greatest to make our portfolio very, very productive.
And so who got us this machine? You said it was in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
was
so
this a Mary Landrieu or was this
No, it was state. Let's see, in 2000 she may have been in the state, so I better
thought she was
watch
in
my
Congress.
memory. But the state legislature has been funding it. Now, both Mary as senator and all the senators and congressmen have been phenomenal help going through the years. And we're looking forward to them right now with the current economic development agency programming. So we use state funding, we use federal funding.
And then the machine does what exactly? Like a
Well,
welding
it
sort
is.
of function?
It's called welding. It's called friction stir welding, but it's phenomenally advanced. And what it does is it melds two metals together in a bond. And so
Wow.
it literally doesn't weld, it bonds it. They stir the molecules of the metals and they interact, and next thing you know, they form a bond that makes a seal that's better than welding.
And I guess you need that because of the pressure and everything
Absolutely.
in space, right?
You want it. A rocket is basically fuel tanks, a motor, a luggage compartment, and a travel compartment, right?
Okay.
So you want your fuel tanks safe and secure, and you want them as light as possible and as strong as possible. And if you can save on weight and increase strength, then you can take that much more weight up with you, so you can take luggage with you, so to speak, so equipment.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty
the,
fun.
The latest and greatest. Serena, what are some of the new things that y'all have, not time-sensitive exhibits, but I mean, I know the mummy is always a big thing. What are some of the things that y'all have going on at the museum that you're most proud of?
Well, right now we have 15 different planetarium shows running
Fantastic.
through September and October. So we try to get new shows in every quarter or so. We also have 4 art exhibitions on view, which connect to a lot of the shows that are running in the planetarium. So we try to build that cross-curriculum experience. And there's 7 events going on.
But like in terms of just philanthropy in general, I know it's so hard. You mentioned being a nonprofit, and so many nonprofits are struggling right now in the wake of COVID. How are y'all going about, generating those philanthropic dollars, and how is the donor community responding to the need of something like the LASM, just in general terms?
Well, we have to make the ask, right? So it's not going to just fall off. It's not going to just fall off
Yeah.
the trees. So the most important thing is the ask.
Yeah.
The second most important thing is it attractive? Is it appealing? Does it go with our mission? And so the 2 major projects that we're working on within the next few years are to leverage this crown jewel in our community and light it.
Nice.
Light the dome, light the museum. Every single year up through 2025, there's an anniversary.
Right. Wow.
The second project is to revamp, update the children's hands-on areas, the maker space. People want to come to museums and participate.
Yeah.
They want to create. They want to take away. They want to have an ownership of a space this is part of my social community, my creativity, much like what we're doing with a new program with the CPRA, where we take the kids to the water model
Oh, that's fantastic.
on the water campus. Then they
Sure.
come back, do a hands-on experiment, make something, see a planetarium show related. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could do that with Bob? Visit the
Right.
rocket, see something, make something. We with the hands-on. I just love what art and science do for each other, and I love this community that does so much for it too.
And Baton Rouge really loves the LASM. I mean, they really,
We have an incredible board. We have an incredible advisory council, an incredible city parish. I mean, it's just palpable how much support there is, and it really just flowed. Once we asked, it flowed.
That's good. That's good. And it's the whole experiential thing is so different. Because, I mean, when we were growing up, you went to a museum, you read a little card under the little thing that you were looking at, and then you moved on. But today, it is about the hands-on. Everybody wants to experience. So I
part.
guess you need to rethink the way you do things.
We absolutely do, and that's part of this big project that's called the Seed. We're revamping the Discovery Depot and the Science Station area into those hands-on maker space, take and make and take, for whole family audiences, ages 7 and up.
Okay.
Right? So seven and up with the parents, grandparents, and once again, coming back to not only a well-rounded education and lifetime experiences for community building, but also that workforce development, which is so essential for our future leadership.
Yeah, it really, really is. How many people work at your facility? Speaking of workforce, Bob?
of course, COVID has restricted a lot of the on-site stuff, but in the heyday, easily 3,500 or so will go in and out of the campus on a given day.
Wow.
And our program, the Artemis program, is a 24/7, 3-shift.
You're working on it 24/7.
But there's other things going on campus, and way back once upon a time there was as many as 10,000 a day. But with technology and different programs, it's still quite a bit of people.
So the Artemis rocket, though, is being built specifically for astronauts to ride in.
That's
this
correct.
isn't an unmanned rocket.
That's right. We do not. The interesting thing is at that facility they do not build unmanned rockets.
Because
for
we have
NASA.
sent unmanned rockets to Mars. And,
Oh,
right?
sure.
Yeah,
Those are built
then
in several other places.
some of them have had not so
since the beginning of NASA. Our facility has built manned rockets for astronauts.
And of course, many were built out of there. Space
Every one.
Shuttle and
Every
and
one
all
of
of them, the Apollos.
Yep, even a Gemini parcel or two, but all the Apollos. And if you come down, there's a hallway, what we call Heroes Way, that's a corridor of nothing but memorabilia of the astronauts and the different flights, and it's really kind of cool.
Do the astronauts ever come to
Every
NASA?
time.
Really?
All the time. Every astronaut, all the time.
All the time? Like,
very,
how
it's
often?
very cool. They want to see how their machine's being built.
Yeah.
They want to inspect it. They want to investigate it. They come in. They're incredibly generous. They're brilliant people. They're not just flight people. They are incredibly well-trained people, and it's it's a significant selection process. And yeah, we see a number of them. It's they wear their blue jumpsuits, and it's pretty cool. It's not pretty cool. It's very cool.
No, that's very, very cool. And I guess they want to make sure that metal is really getting
Absolutely.
melted together.
Absolutely.
And then it's very, very strong.
Absolutely. A lot of safety checks.
Right. So you have to get them to go visit the LASM. And you
Absolutely.
Could really,
and they have an
market
astronaut
that.
corps, which you can call on, and they'll come see you.
I love it.
And do y'all ever have visiting astronauts or
Well,
space people?
we hit it off immediately when we met each other,
Oh, great.
Bob and I, between the spacesuit twins that we look like. One of our educators is actually a NASA solar ambassador.
Okay.
And so when you meet Linda Gaucher, she's also a retired school teacher, but she is a bona fide NASA solar ambassador. And that's basically, she's got the credentials of being a volunteer for NASA to help audiences discover the work that NASA's doing.
That's great.
And so that we very much have that direct lineage already, and I can't wait to see what we do in the future with since the result of this
Yeah.
meeting.
No, that's fantastic. And Bob, I just want to be clear. How soon do we think that Artemis is going to go up with astronauts in it?
So I think the schedule for astronauts is 2024 maybe.
That soon?
Oh, yeah.
That's just a
Yep.
couple of years away.
Yep, not far. Those schedules move around. They'll do the first test, like I said, in the next 6 months.
That's amazing.
And then they'll really get cranked up on a schedule. We're building number 2 and 3 rockets right now at the facility. So astronauts will be pretty soon.
We got to tell the story more. I mean, so that people in Louisiana
That
realize
facility
this.
is a well-kept secret.
I mean, it really is.
It shouldn't be.
I know. And with all of the vulnerabilities, hurricanes, climate change, I know you mentioned early on that it survived Katrina, but is it safe there down in the tip of New Orleans
It's
East?
incredibly safe. Matter of fact, our spot, we had about 800 acres, give or take, and it survived many natural disasters. We even had a tornado 3 or 4 years ago. Of course, Ida took our roof to some disrepair, but it's all repairable. But our facility is really a desirable area because we're right where we need to be geographically. We're right where we need to be in hurricane resistance.
Well, Bob Fudickar and Serena Pandos, it's been such a pleasure to have y'all here on Out to Lunch today. You both have such great stories to share, and you both sort of represent such wonderful hidden gems in this community, in this state, that I don't think people really appreciate quite enough. So good luck in your future endeavors, and we will be following your progress very anxiously.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot, Stephanie.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Bob Fudickar of the National Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Serena Pandos of the Louisiana Art and Science Museum. We edited this show to fit into the time slots here on WRKF. You can hear our unedited conversation and find out more about the National Center for Advanced Manufacturing and the LASM by listening to the Out to Lunch Baton Rouge podcast. You can find and subscribe to the Out to Lunch Baton Rouge podcast anywhere you get podcasts and on our website, itsbatonrouge.la. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on itsbatonrouge.la and on our Out to Lunch Baton Rouge social media. Photos are taken by Eric Otts. You can find more of Eric's photos on Instagram at @acro, that's ACREAUX. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Today's show was engineered by J.T. O'Neill. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti. Our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you around the table at Mansour's again next week for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Baton Rouge is recorded live over lunch at Mansour's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansour's is open for lunch daily 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com.